Some of the problems the data is giving in the chart, really, it's a frequency distribution. It's a frequency distribution that goes horizontal instead of vertical. And as you look at this first one, find the mean for the data items in the given frequency distribution. A score of 1 occurred 3 times. A score of 2 occurred twice. You have to know how to read these charts. And not only that, you have to read the problem and say, okay, this one says find the mean. That is totally different from find the median, even though the data items are all in the chart. That's different from find the modes. And that's different from find the mid-range. So on these problems, practice these chart problems. The calculation is really, it's not different from what I've done already, but I think some students are just overwhelmed by these chart problems. Look at number 30, find the mid-range. Well, that's going to be the high score plus the low score. All I need from the chart is what score was the high one? It's 91. What one's the low one? 84. Add them together and divide by 2. 175 divided by 2. I don't need anything else in that chart once I see find the mid-range. 175 divided by 2 is 87.5.
So when you're doing these with the charts, do you usually disregard the bottom row?
If it says mid-range, I can disregard the bottom row. But some of those others, I cannot disregard the bottom row. Thank you for that question. The bottom row tells me how many times a certain score occurred. And if I'm doing mid-range, I don't need that information. But let's look at number 24, the mode. The first time students came back and were asking these questions about the charts, some of my answers are like this, and the answer's still the same. If you're confused by these charts, write everything out. On number 24, a score of 1 occurred 3 times. Write the 1 3 times. A score of 2 occurred 4 times. Write the 2 4 times. A score of 3 occurred 5 times. Write the 3 5 times. 4 occurred once. Write it 1 time. 5 occurred once. Write it 1 time. 6 occurred twice. 7 occurred 6 times. So you write 6 sevens. And 8 was once. So you can take those charts, write them out the long way. The scores are on the top line. How many times that score occurred is on the second line. And so as I look at this data for number 24, which one occurs the most? The mode is the most. The mode is 7. It occurred 6 times. The mode is 7. Now, if you interpret the chart as you look at it with, okay, the second line tells me how many times. I can look for the highest number in the second line, which is a 6. The score was a 7. So on the mode question, you cannot ignore that second line. You have to look at it and come up with what it means. On the median question, you cannot ignore the bottom line. And on the mean question, you cannot ignore that second line. I've had students in the past, as I look at their test with them, and I look at one, say like number 12, or even 24, let's say 24 since we just worked that one. They'll look at 24 and they're just totally confused about, there's a lot of numbers there. The mode, they look at all the numbers the same and they'll say, I think 1 is the mode. That is not correct, but that's a response I'll get from students. Why did they say 1 is the mode? I got 1, 2, 3, 4 1s. But that's not the interpretation of this chart.